It's now time for Bill Stent, the Telescope Gent. You have to share your screen now, Bill.
I know. Hi. Everyone just likes to see me.
They do. I'm handing it over to you. You have full control.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Select that. Hang on a second. Where is it?
Do you need some help?
Oh, I might do. Let's have a look.
I think we've got it now.
Is that it?
You're sharing there. Yeah, we go.
That's it. All right.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So this is the What's in the Sky tour talk for late June, early July 2024. So something I do every month now. Okay, tonight, where I'm broadcasting from is not quite the same as what I usually do. It's in the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation. I'm going to talk about, as usual, the general conditions at this time of year. I'll talk a little bit about the solstice, and then I'll get into the What's in the Sky. Where's the moon, the planets, and getting orientated with the constellations and the bright stars. There's no planets in the evening at the moment. And then I'll go through a suggested list of targets for tonight. And then I'll do a little bit about the 5 a.m. early rises, and then I'll get back to what to look out for in the month. So the general conditions at this time of year, sunset is about 5:07. It's dark around about 6. Now next month it's 5:18, but 5:07 is about the earliest the sun sets in Melbourne. So that's right today. Sunrise is just after 7:30. It's dark until about 7:45. Now next month it's going to move all of 1 minute until it's going to we'll have sunrise at 7:34. Next Friday, that's the 21st, is the winter solstice. So it's a week and a half off yet still. For young astronomers, what's a solstice? I'll get to that in a second. And also, Milky Way season is here. So get out that DSLR now. Just a quick anecdote from myself, from my own work. I don't work for Optic Central anymore. I work for Sidereal Trading. We've sold out 3 times in the last month for wedges that go underneath camera trackers. So clearly it's Milky Way season because everyone needs that camera tracker to be nicely polar aligned. And Mark, get out your phone. Okay, solstice obviously means the stopped sun. There's a nice little guys sort of sitting out there a fair way from Earth. I think this might be geostationary orbit or something like that. But they've taken a couple of photographs of the sun at various the Earth at various times. We're looking at the top right. That's, if I can see, you can see that. That's where we are at the moment on the June the 21st. These were taken in 2004, so they're a bit old. Now the sun is directly above the Tropic of Cancer, which is the northern hemisphere one. So look, here's the Earth's axis. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but there's a little green line that goes there up there, and that's the Earth's axis that rotates around. The equator is obviously the right angles to that. The terminator is the area between light and dark, and it's on that particular angle on the 21st. That means that the sun angle is obviously coming in at right angles from there. And the Tropic of Cancer is the line that goes parallel to the equator that starts at the point where, which is directly above the Tropic of Cancer there. So that's basically the solstice in geometry. What happens is the sun stops moving north and it starts coming back towards the south again. So it's as far away as it gets from Australia. In terms of constellations, the sun is RA 6 hours and its deck is just a fraction over 23 minutes, and it's up, and as you can see, this is where it goes, and it's up around there. So it's between Gemini and Taurus, just above Orion. You can even check that out by looking at stellarium. The longest night being in inverted commas because there's the difference between sunrise and sunset, is in the southern hemisphere is tonight and on the 21st, and it's 14 hours and 27 minutes. Obviously a lot of that is twilight. So 14 hours and 27 minutes in Melbourne, that is. Also, the sunset is as far north as it gets. And I don't know if you can see my mouse at all, but it comes here in here. This is the Wurdi Solar Observatory. And if you're standing in the observation stone, you can look over the far stones on the right-hand side, and that's the winter solstice. That's told the original Australians when the sun was going to stop and go back the other way. Wurdi, by the way, is around about 10,000 years old, which makes it by far the oldest solar observatory in the world, and it's near Lara in Victoria. It also means that it's the start of the winter season. Australia goes a little bit early, but like 3 weeks early, but geologically or geographically or something speaking, the start of the winter season is this winter solstice. Okay, moving to the moon. And by the way, there's the moon there. Okay, the first quarter is on Friday. That's the 14th of June, just a couple of days away. It rises at noon and sets at midnight, which means it's an afternoon object. And after that, after the Friday, it rises in the early afternoons and it sets early mornings because it moves slower or later every night. It's still in the north and crosses the equator on the 15th, which means that on Friday it's going to be fairly low. Although 15th, it's actually very close to the equator. Lunar X. This month is visible. It's going to be low in the east on the 14th. That's the same day as the first quarter, at 13:49 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to look like this. So this is the view from, well, this is a simulated view through Solarium of basically the view out of my new office window. I can see pretty much to the equator, and the moon's going to be about 13 degrees above the equator, fractionally to the left of east. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a reasonable view of the Lunar X. My new office window, by the way, looks out over Merri Creek, and I can see kangaroos on Merri Creek. And this morning there were 22 of them there. Apogee, the mini moon, is on the 15th, so it's soon after the first quarter. I'm not sure if anyone really cares. Except the people who say this is a super moon, etc. The full moon is a week later on Saturday the 22nd. It rises at sunset and sets sunrise, so it's opposite the sun, and then obviously it goes later. By this time, it's well into the south, so it's going to be very high in the sky. So I'm not particularly fussed about that because the full moon is always destroys astronomy. But on Friday, it's going to be about 28 degrees south of the equator. And the supermoon is on the 22nd, about a week after that. 27th, sorry. Last quarter is on Friday the 29th, where it rises at midnight and sets at noon, and obviously then later. It's a morning object, and it crosses back around about then to the northern hemisphere. And nearly in time for the next month's meeting, the new moon is on the 6th of July. Its sun rises and sets with the sun. You're not going to be able to see it. Obviously, it's a thin crescent. It's going to be hard to see, but it'll just start peeking out on sort of the 8th or 9th or something like that. Okay, so the planets over the next month. Mercury is behind the sun. Don't bother. It's out of the evening twilight by the next meeting, so you'll be able to see it in about a month or something like that. Mercury moves very, very quickly, so it plays peekaboo a lot. Venus is also close to the sun. It's an evening object, but it's still in a twilight. It'll come out. Mars is moving extraordinarily slowly. I know I've said this over the last few months, but it's moving very slowly. And just to give you an idea, tonight it rises at 3:29, and by next month it's going to move all of 10 minutes by 3:19. So it's really just sitting very stationary. Jupiter is now out of the morning twilight. It rises before dawn, and you can get quite a reasonable view of it just before the dawn breaks. Saturn is a really easy morning object now. It's very high. It rises at midnight. So in the morning, it's still very, very high. Uranus is ahead of Jupiter, rises about 4 a.m. and so it's in quite a viewable position if you have the equipment to view Uranus. Neptune is similar in availability to Neptune. It's a morning object. It rises after midnight and it's following Saturn, so it's quite high. Pluto is still the best placed planet. It actually rises before midnight. It's so it's up there for most of the night. So, getting orientated. Here's the sky at tonight, facing south. It's actually not the sky tonight. The sky tonight is a bit cloudy. Southern Cross, one of our 3 marker constellations. It's just past the meridian. But it's smack bang in the middle there. Scorpius is also dominating the sky. Orion has set. It's gone. It's very close to the sun. So for orientation stars, it's a little bit random today. Arcturus is on the northern meridian. It's sort of high and in the north. Now Spica, I was trying to figure out an easy way of finding Spica. You can find a sort of a banana-shaped arrow that goes from Southern Cross through the zenith to Spica. That's about as close as I could, easy as I could get it. Achernar is extraordinarily low on the southern horizon. You won't see that if there is any blades of grass in the way. That's just way, way too low. Canopus is lowish in the southwest. So that's relatively easy to find as long as there's no buildings in the way. Antares is in Scorpius, and so that's probably the most obvious thing in the sky. It's high in the east. Last, the Milky Way. It's nearing the zenith. We are in Milky Way season, so get out your cameras. Okay, so my targets for this evening. Now, again, this is the 9 p.m. facing south. I'm going to concentrate on the Scorpius area. I'm going to select Scorpius Plus. It's a bit bigger than Scorpius area. It's entirely on the east of the meridian. The whole thing is rising. The equator runs down one side and the galactic core runs through the other side. So it makes a sort of a V if you know where the equator is. So let's look at it. There's the equator, the blue line. Obviously, the galactic core looks just like the galactic core. Because there's the galactic core is there, there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, I've just added the major constellations here. Obviously, this is in the mouse. There we go. Obviously, you can see Scorpio there, or Scorpius there. So I keep on saying Scorpio. I must be a frustrated astrologer. Here's Corona Australis, that string of pearls there, and this is part of Sagittarius. It's the famous asterism, the teapot. So these are the things you might want to look out for in this particular area, and they also help you guide you around there. Deep sky objects. There are heaps, absolutely piles of deep sky objects in this area. So I will go through them, well, some of them anyway, in a minute. But let's just get rid of that. Okay. So for visual astronomers, this is where I put my ASV demonstrator hat on. For visual astronomers, we've got Ptolemy's cluster. Now Ptolemy's M7. It's the southernmost Messier object. So it's you can tell by that photograph, it's right in front of the galactic core. So it's got a big, heavy background there. It's also a very large cluster. It's about, from memory, it's about 1.7 degrees in size. I haven't got that written down here. Oh, so 1.3, sorry. So it's very, very large. You're going to need to have a fairly wide-angle view on your telescope to actually get it all in. The butterfly cluster, I don't have a photograph of, which is a pity because it's very, very pretty. And you can see the little wings in a butterfly. M6, it's smaller than Ptolemy. So you'll need a little bit more magnification on your telescope, but it's well worth it because it's very pretty. Moving back along the spine of the Scorpius, there's the false Comet cluster, NGC 6231. Now, this is the first time I saw this. Was only about a month ago. Colin Colin was in the dome and we found this one. It's quite easy to find, as long as you know where to find it. You can find it in the finer scope of your telescope. So it's just very close to, I think it's Zeta there. There's that Scorpius there. That's the one that has a nearly right angle bend in it. So and that's very pretty little thing to see. The next one is Antares. I think this is the first time we've actually talked about a single star. Now, Antares is a red giant. So it's very large. It's around about 500 times the size of our sun. So if you replaced our sun with Antares, it would come out, well, we'd be toast. Mars would be toast. It would come out not quite as far as Jupiter, but a lot of the asteroid belt would be inside the sun there. It's very, very, very big. Red giants get like this because they are nearly out of fuel, which means that they don't have the mass to hold themselves in their own gravity well. So they tend to bloat very badly. The temperature of them is very low. This is about as low as they go. It's about 3,500 Kelvin. So, and that's what gives it the red look. I think it's sort of a red-orange look. And you can, if you use your telescope to see Antares, you can definitely tell it's an orange guy. The next one is Rho Ophiuchi. I also first saw this not very long ago in the telescope. If you look at Rho Ophiuchi, the star itself, it's a triple, by the way. If you look at the star in a package like Stellarium, it looks like Mickey Mouse because there's a big star and there's two stars looking like Mickey Mouse ears. It doesn't look like that in the telescope. They look very much like three separate stars. It's quite aesthetic because the three stars are very symmetrical. So the large star, the bright star is magnitude 5.7, I think. And the two smaller stars, which are about magnitude 7, they are the same brightness and about the same distance away. So that it looks very pretty in the telescope. I'll get back to a little bit more about Rho Ophiuchi in a second. Beta Scorpii. That's at the other end of the Scorpio, of the Scorpius, the Scorpion. It's one of the shoulders. It's a double. Actually, I think it's a multiple. I think it's actually 6 stars. But the ones that you can see are magnitude 2.6 and 4.9, and they are relatively close. They're about 13 seconds distance, which makes them sort of similar to, it's a little bit wider than Alpha Centauri. So it's a nice easy double to catch. The other thing I haven't spoken about before is minor planets. Now, Ceres is sitting in just outside of Scorpius at the moment. Ceres is really cool to see. It doesn't actually look very much different to a star. In fact, there we go. There is Ceres. It's the brightest thing down there. You can tell it was taken by taken in a 3.5 meter dome because it's a Newtonian. So we've got some spikes happening there. It's not the refractor that we've got in the 2 meter dome. The thing about Ceres is it moves. It will move during the night. So what you do is if you can't take a photograph of it, get out a piece of paper and take a little bit of a sketch. You should be able to figure out which one it is because it actually moves. So now if I just, yes, here we go. I've got a simulation of what it does over a period of about 6 hours. Now that one there is Ceres. It's the one which is about 10 o'clock and halfway out to the edge of the field. Now I'll just roll it forward by a 1 hour steps, and you should see it moving. I don't know if you can see that. It just wanders backwards and forwards, and so these are 1 hour steps. So as you can see, you should be able to see it moving as you watch. What you should do is get up at what, let's say that 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock to see it there, and get up about 3 o'clock. And you should be able to see it there. And it should be noticeably different. This is a simulation of a Saxon 909, which is a 910 millimeter focal length refractor with a 25mm lens. So it's quite a wide angle. If you can get a closer angle, you'll see more. So there you go. So turning to photographic objects in the Scorpius-Sagittarius area, we've got the Omega Nebula, which I don't have a photograph of, sorry. But yeah, it's quite an impressive nebula if you've got a camera. M8 and M20 are available, and they're very close together. These are easy targets to get, especially the lagoon. It's very, very bright. This photograph is taken by Paul Litchin, by the way. You should be able to get both of them in the same image if you've got a wide angle telescope. This was an ED80. Mine is just not quite there. The next thing is this NGC 6727, which is a bunch of nebulosity in Corona Australis. Now, I was going to present this photograph tonight. This is Mark's C-star image, and you can see there's some nice nebulosity there, and there's also a globular cluster as well. But then Mark gave me another image, which is taken from his ED80, I think it was. He told me before, and he's got a bit more color in that. That's taken through his Samsung mobile phone. Very good. But I looked down the people who were speaking tonight, and I found that Andrew had produced one as well. And check that out. I'm sorry, Mark. There's no comparison. Now, obviously, the field of view is much, much wider. So we've got a lot more of the nebulosity in there, or the dark nebula in that. But the colours in that are just spectacular. It's like, yeah, if I could take a photograph like that, I'd be really, really pleased. Congratulations, Andrew. That is a corker. Okay, so that's in Corona Australis there. The Eagle Nebula is the famous Pillars of Creation thing. I do have a photograph of it myself. I was demonstrating some narrow bands, so I did the whole thing. There's RGB at the top, so that's what it looks like to the naked eye, and the other ones are various different palettes of narrowband. I love narrowband. It's quite a sort of a scientific thing. You can see where the gases are and stuff. An Eddie Pang image. No presentation is complete without one. This is the Blue Horsehead, which is not very far from Rho Ophiuchi, actually, and it's one of the most pretty things in the sky. It's just beautiful. And Rho Ophiuchi itself is not just a star, well, not just a triple star. It's the one end of Barnard 44 and 45 streamers, and it sort of winds its way back to the galactic core. This is one of the first images I ever took with of the night sky. So a 50mm lens. Anybody can take this photograph if you've got a 50mm lens and a tripod. There's nothing else in this, and you can see Barnard 44 and 45 moving back. I don't know if you can see my mouse. There's Antares there. Blue Horsehead is down here, and that's Rho Ophiuchi, and here are the streamers coming back. So a couple of years ago, a couple of years later, I went back and I took another photograph of it with a different camera, same 50mm lens though, and that's a different shot. And you can see that there's a lot of color and nebulosity going on there. It's very, very worthwhile if you've got a wide angle setup. Okay, so turning to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, just quickly. Southern Cross is nearly at 5 o'clock. So if you wanted to get up to see Carina, you're in the wrong time of year. Let's get rid of that. Okay, Scorpius is approaching the horizon. When I say approaching the horizon, it takes 3.5 hours to cross the horizon. So it's not exactly one of the ones that just disappears. The Milky Way is also starting to set, which means it's a good time if you want it low for framing. If you've got a tree or something like that you want it around, you'll organise the tree to your southwest, and you should be able to get, maybe west southwest. You should be able to get a relatively low Milky Way around it if you don't have a very, very wide angle lens. So if you don't have that 14mm lens, you've got a 28 like I do, this is probably a good time to take that Milky Way photograph, but you need something on the ground to frame it. Planets, Pluto, like I said before, is past the meridian. That there's working our way back. There's Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Uranus and Jupiter are yet to rise. They will be up before the sun. So you can get that nice little line there, and that line shows you where the plane of the ecliptic is. It is a different plane to the Earth's equator, which is the blue line. So yeah, that's the plane that the planet's mostly moving. Pluto is a bit of an outlier. But wait, what about the comet? I know I was talking about a comet last week, so it's not that comet, it's the other comet. So it's C 2023 A3 Tsuchinshan Atlas, which is a bit of a mouthful. We're not sure how it's going to be. It might be a great comet, and I don't even really know what the definition of a great comet is. But people have been talking about seeing it during a day and stuff. Don't believe them, but it's likely to be quite good. The other good thing about it is it's visible from the southern hemisphere when it's at perihelion. So we're in the box seat for this particular comet. It's currently in Virgo, 1.8 astronomical units from the sun, which puts it sort of just outside of Mars, I think a little bit further away. It's coming towards us, and it's obviously moving towards the sun. So that means it's, where's my mouse there? If it's going to be moving off that way. In mid-September, it will be behind the sun, which is not particularly disappointing because it's got to do that. Perihelion is on the 28th of September. Now, it's a morning object at that stage, and it's 0.4 AU from the sun, so it's fairly close. It's about the same distance as Mercury, which means that it's going to get very, very warm, and hopefully it's going to start really, gassing or off-gassing from the tail. So with any luck, we might see something quite impressive. The maximum elongation is a couple of days after that, and this is the best time to see the comet. It's up in the morning, but because it's at maximum elongation, it's the furthest from the sun visually, which means that you'll be able to get up a little bit earlier before the sun starts brightening the sky, and that's the best time to see the comet. So the 2nd of October in the morning, I think about 5 a.m. In mid-October, it goes back in front of the sun, between us and the sun, actually. And after about 20th of October, it's back to the evening, and the Americans can see it again, and it will be moving away from us. It'll still be very good, I'm hoping, on the 20th of October, but it will be moving away from us. Now, it is visible now. This is taken just the other day. There's a bit of a story behind this photograph. It's not very good. I was just framing the comet up because I wasn't quite sure where it was. I had to find it. And this is the last shot I was able to get before it clouded over on me. So this is the one and only shot I've got of it, I'm afraid. So there you go. So the final notes and any random observations. 14th of June, don't forget, lunar X, it's low in the east. It's 10 minutes to 2 in the afternoon. The winter solstice is on the 21st of June. The 28th of June, the Saturn is a very, very close conjunction with the moon. It's going to be low in the east as Saturn rises, so it's probably worth getting up, but only if you've got a good view of the eastern horizon, which I don't. Yes, Saturn, I think some parts of the world will see Saturn actually disappear behind the moon. I don't think we will, but it's going to be very, very close, and it's going to be close to the darkened limb of the moon as well. So it might actually be quite good for photographing, but you're going to be photographing through a lot of atmosphere. 1st of July, Saturn is stationary. It's moving into retrograde. I was spoken about retrograde last month. It's going to get brighter as we get closer to it, because that's what retrograde does. And now retrograde ends on the 16th of November, so that means that Saturn's brightest point will probably be sort of August or something like that. 3rd of July, Neptune does pretty much exactly the same. It moves into retrograde. 6th of July, Ceres, the asteroid, is in opposition to the Sun, which means that it's the best time to view it. And at the same time, there's a new moon. So yes, if you can get a shot of Ceres, or preferably a series of shots, that will be excellent. And that is it. Thank you to the Facebook contributors.
A series of shots, Bill. I like that joke.
Oh, actually, I didn't even mean to make that.
Thank you very much, Bill.